humans interfacing with computers
for their own entertainment. The very notion disgusts me.
Look upon my works, foul creatures,
And weep at its magnificence.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of The Testing Room, where three of the gaming industry's best video game consultants who have never actually consulted on a video game bring you new topics each and every week. As always, I'm Alex, a.k.a. The Godfather.
I'm Christian, a.k.a. Pseudo45.
I'm Preston, Funkadelic Jedi.
Yeah, you are. And we are back with part 2 of System Shock. But as always, before we do that, we kick off with our week. And, of course, Preston's Comic Corner. What you got, Preston?
Yes, sir. As always, the episode is sponsored by Comic Headquarters. If you're looking for a trade paperback or a hardcover, the guys over at Comic Headquarters can help. Even if they don't have what you're looking for, they're offered to order it in for you. Visit them at comichqstl.com today, where you can contact them and order that trade paperback or hardcover that you've been looking for. Or give them a call at 314-433-5449 and let them know that the testing room sent you, and you can get 10% off your order. Recent sweet pick I got from them. Let's see here. This is Batman and Robin, issue 8, with the Ezekiel cover. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Yeah, he's part of the art group. There's a couple other guys. But yeah, that flatline character is pretty cool, and I really, really like that cover. Series itself is fantastic. It's phenomenal. That's exactly what I want Batman and Robin to be. So it's very, very nice. But yeah, we don't have any comments for the comment corner, but I did want to bring something up. So, I want to get your guys' opinion and just kind of take on a topic, if you will. So Metaphor ReFantasio has had a big little info drop. They had a 25-minute video go on YouTube. I must have missed it, so I got to watch it later on today. But we did get a release date of October 11th. But the big little piece of info from that people are talking about right now is, like a lot of the Persona games, this game will not have romances. So it will still have social links, you can upgrade and everything like that, but no romance options. So I don't know how you guys feel about that. I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't feel like if it's not part of the story, I don't need it to be a thing. I was fine with it in Persona games. It's a fun little thing to do as far as who you pick kind of deal towards the end, and some of them can have different endings to your story. But how, essentially, my question to you guys is, how do you feel about romance options in games? Do you prefer it to be more like Final Fantasy 16, to where it's an actual part of the story and it's not a choice that you have non-optional, or do you prefer more the optional settings like a Mass Effect?
I don't care as long as it's done well. So, Final Fantasy 16, so it's tough. I'm a straight dude, so I could understand if you wanted some representation. You don't get that in 16 with your romances, right? But at the same time, you're playing Clive, you're not playing a mirror of you as a character. So, that game is telling the story it wants to tell. So I'm okay with you telling me, hey, here's who you're going to romance, as long as it's done well. If it's going to be a game where, the character is me, kind of faceless, voiceless, or whatever, then I would prefer to have choices. And I understand, why other people would want choice, because there's oftentimes not representation for them, right, to choose the people they want to choose. And there hasn't been for a long time, so I'm sure after a while it gets annoying being told, who you want to romance. So I'm okay either way. I just want it to be done well. If it's not going to be well-written romance, I'm fine with Persona just leaving it out and just doing friend links, right?
Yeah,
not everything
totally
needs to be... because it's funny, and we joke about it, because it is funny, we're adults. But also,
Sure.
You as a high schooler in Persona 5 romancing that goth doc is super inappropriate and probably
yeah.
problematic, right? Like, to
But
be
not
fair.
for me as the 30-year-old.
Or
playing the
sexually
game.
extorting your teacher.
Yeah.
Right,
true.
right. So like, you know, that game is funny and like you know what you're getting into when you play it, but also like it's probably fine that you're just doing friendships and not
me,
doing
yeah.
romances.
For me, I think the thing that people need to remember is that this is not Persona. Like it's
Still a lot of that team, but it's a completely different company
it's made
name.
by Persona team, but if it was a Persona game, they would have called it Persona 6.
Right.
It's not. So like
I
you're
think- I
not.
think the team changed their name too, didn't they? I think it's like a different type of.
Yeah, Persona team it does not exist
Yeah.
anymore. Like that's not a team.
A lot of teams still is working together. It's just
yes,
different
but there is
ideas, different.
There isn't a team called Persona Team anymore. But yeah, so there's that. My thing is, I'm like Alex. I don't care, but typically, I just want it to be done well. And in my experience, a lot of the times that you get to choose your own, the story is usually not as good. Just by virtue of them having to think about, they have to account for all the choices, right? So like if you know, like in a Mass Effect, if you have all these different partners, they have to account for that, and that limits what the scope of the story ends up being, like, or what the scope of that romance can be, because it has to be somebody that will always be there. The character doesn't go away anywhere, like nothing ever happens. Whereas like, you know, just piggybacking off that example, when you're thinking about like the Clive and Jill story,
It's a great like love story in between everything else that's going on in that.
but like it's a story that gets to be fleshed out and told all the way through, because you know there's no choice. You are just experiencing the story that they wrote. So
Yeah, no, I agree completely. So but yeah,
Yep.
saw that up there and kind of wanted to bring a little article since we didn't have any comments. So
Yeah. I know there was one thing I wanted to bring up yesterday that doesn't actually have to do with our week.
yes,
It had to do with my last week. But I was kicked from a group in Final Fantasy. I was booted.
shocking! The most toxic person on this podcast was kicked from a group in a game.
Well.
We're all shocked. We're all shocked.
What was coming?
I forget what I texted you, but I was I was literally like 12 hours shy, or 7 hours shy of something, of being 5 years of playtime or something. Like
Yeah,
it was
something like
it's
that.
so long, and for the first time I was kicked, and I would like to present with you.
And not only, really quick, because I think there's something very specific that you need to add here,
Yeah.
is that you were playing with a friend and you were kicked. And Final Fantasy requires 3 votes from people to get a
Yeah.
kick to happen.
Yeah,
To be fair, he was new and didn't know what he was doing when he hit yes. Or he didn't. He actually
A
didn't.
likely story.
He actually didn't vote at all. He exited out, and that counted as a non-vote, so it kicked me. But what I would like to do is present you a dramatic reading
Sure.
of my chat log, along with the story as it happened. These guys were WoW players. And I'm not going to tell you how I know that, but I'll leave it up to you, and I'll see at the end if you can tell at what moment I
Well,
realized
Preston's never played WoW, but
I have, but not that extent. Yeah,
there was. I'll give you. There's one guy that has a WoW name. That's not what gave it away, but the guy that was yelling at me, he's a WoW player, and I'll let you tell me in this conversation what gives it away.
It's whenever he called you the N-word.
No, it's not, but you'll know. Okay, so here's what happens. Travis and I are running a dungeon. We're doing a daily. We get in, it's a leveling queue. I'm a level 90, I have multiple level 90s. I think we're doing a level 60 dungeon. Okay? That's where this begins. Chat log. I activate the spell Monster Reborn. I summon Daedalus Blood Moon in attack mode. We have already died. I look at Travis and go, oh, okay, well, we died. First pull, by the way, first mob of the dungeon. Okay, no biggie. We respawn, and I'll read again. I activate the spell Monster Reborn. I summon Daedalus Blood Moon in attack mode. We died again. And I told Travis, I know this healer is attacking instead of just healing. Mm-hmm. Please just heal me. I go, it's fine. I'm not going to be a dick. I'm not going to say anything in chat. We're just going to let it go, right? I activate the spell Monster Reborn. I summon Daedalus Blood Moon in attack mode. So I say... smaller pulls, LOL, ... My bad. That's it. I'll do smaller pulls.
So you're saying, yeah, so for those who don't know, there's an unknown or like an unwritten rule that when you're going back and running older content in Final Fantasy XIV, you're doing it for the daily roulettes, and so you try to get through it as fast as possible. So because everybody has gear that is usually very like over leveled for what is what's being ran, they'll do what is called like big pulls, right? So you'll run in and grab you'll end up pulling wall to wall. Like you'll grab every enemy between the start and the checkpoint, and that will continue, between each checkpoint. And because of that, a lot of the sort of understood mechanics of roles kind of go out the window. So to Alex's point, like when you're doing a big pull, the healer would, because it is understood that in Final Fantasy XIV, healers are supposed to be doing damage. That is built into encounters. Normal encounters. Very specific there. In these particular instances, when you're doing older content and you're over-leveled for it, all parse culture, which is not a thing. I mean, parses are banned in Final Fantasy XIV, but parse culture, like trying to be the top player there, is out the window. You are trying to finish as fast as possible and be part of this wheel that's moving forward. So when Alex, the tank, has a bunch of enemies grouped up, the DPS are supposed to only be doing their AoE moves to try to hit all of them as fast as possible, and the healer at that time is focusing on a single person and just mashing the heal button. That single person would be the tank, in this case, Alex.
So keep all that in mind, Christian, what you just said.
Yeah.
This is the moment I realized I was talking to Travis, teaching him a bit about the game, and I go, "Yep, I'm watching the healer cast gravity. He's not healing me. He's casting gravity." I was like, "It's fine though. I'm not gonna say anything. Maybe he'll figure it out." So we resume. Smaller bulls, LOL. My bad. He says, "What the fuck just happened? I got evaporated." And then his buddy says, "Pull size isn't the issue. The issue is you ran away from my heals. Can't heal if you're out of line of sight. Account for cast time, please, and thanks." To which point I say to Travis, "Well, I'm running to the next checkpoint, so you stay with me." I go, "It's okay, though. Maybe he'll figure out to quit casting gravity, and it'll be fine." I activate the spell Monster Reborn. I summon Daedalus Blood Moon in attack mode. Question. Are you using mitts while doing mob pulls, meaning mitigations? Am I hitting all of my damage mitigations? The answer to that is yes, it's part of my rotation. I usually only do that and get out of AoE when I'm not playing with Christian. But I do it like you should, right? Says, are you using mitts
To be
while
clear,
doing mob pulls?
when he's playing with me, he doesn't do any of that.
Yeah, no, I don't do
because I just heal him through it.
Because you're the best healer on the server. He says, are you using mitts while doing mob pulls? I go, yes. Are you still casting gravity? And he goes, I'm trying to do DPS like everyone in the party should be, while also focusing on healing you.
No.
I said, don't worry about DPS. It's negligible. Just heal until boss or single target. And he goes, no, that's not how that works. Hello?
You don't pay my sub, bro.
Hello? And I says, it is how that works if you're struggling to keep people alive. To which point he says, I'm not the issue here. Also, thank you for keeping aggro. To which point I say, you are welcome. I did the entire time. And I said, but sorry I didn't on this last pull. I was annoyingly having to respond to you in chat. To which point he says, as a level 90, it's kind of pathetic you're blaming me. Feel free to keep pushing blame on others, sweetheart. Okay. It's really nice. He's a female character, by the way, and I say he's a female character because you could absolutely tell it's a, Just keep pushing the blame on others, sweetheart. It's really nice. I said, with 4 level 90 healers, you think you would know how. To which point he goes, again, I'm not the problem here. I said, well, I wasn't going to be a dick until you questioned, was I doing my role? And he said, wildly enough, I'm sorry, his friend, Arthas, said, wildly enough, I've never seen another player have any issue with her heals. Only issue here is your shit tanking. And I said, okay, Mr. Wow, you can go back now, Arthas. To which he says, look, if you're having that much of a skill issue, leave the queue. Okay, to which point I say, you're a fucking sprout. Shut the fuck up and let the adults talk. Go back to doing what you were doing. And his friend says, wow, shocker. I used DPS for a large pull and no one died. And I said, great job. 1 out of 6 pulls. Not bad. Gotta start somewhere, I guess. And he says, heart-shaped. And I say, so I'm going to go ahead and call it out. I guess no commendations all around then, huh?
For those who don't know, commendations are a thing that happen at the end of... if anybody does particularly well or you feel like they did a good job, you hand out a commendation at the end of the run to sort of give them like a thumbs up. And if they get a large number of them, like your boy, you apply for a mentor role, being like, hey, I have done a very good job and I know a lot of encounters, so like if you have questions, look to me, kind of situation.
So I have a feeling that probably started to send him. I mean, if it wasn't already, like we were going back and forth, but I assume the commendation one really started to send him. So he responded to my 1/4 or my 1/6 pull thing. He says, thanks for noticing. So proud you can do math. Then his friend, I am curious. Where did you buy your account? I thought that was against terms of service. And I said,
okay. In all fairness,
that was a good one. It's pretty good. I said, Arthas, you can easily click on my character, search it, and see how many level 90s I have. If you like, I can quickly tell you how in chat. I said, you don't get this many 90s from just buying your accounts. And he says, anybody can buy level skips. Okay. And then Arthas comes in and goes, bruh, dude definitely bought this account because we died one other time. And I said, dude, you're a role player. You have nothing but crafters at 90.
You come off the bench.
I said, no, like when I say role player, I mean, I know,
I'm just being funny.
For those people that don't know, like they play this game as a role player, like they embody a person. They don't really play the game as a player? Tank or DPS. Like, yeah, it's like you living a second life essentially.
It's essentially you're
and I was like,
playing.
Dude, you're a role player. You only have craft, and you have everyone maxed out at 90. If anyone has bought level skips, it's the dude that has every crafter at level 90. I said, you have 4 healers and nothing else over 80, so don't give me this bullshit. And he says, cry me a river, kid. The parse data doesn't lie. Right?
Oh, you could have... Wait, the parse data is in like he's collecting parse data?
He says the parse data doesn't lie.
Oh, you should have reported him and got him banned immediately. Oh my god.
He says, and the other guy is like, and yet I'm still a better player than you, even though I have these, crafters or whatever. And I said, look, we can do this if you want. We can do this if you want to finish. But how about you play the right way and quit pulling for no reason? Otherwise, I have 64 minutes and 50 seconds to just sit here until we all fail. Let's see what happens. To which point he says, I didn't pull anything, okay? He said, pop off, sis. I said, I literally sat and watched you run into the ads blindly. When we go back to my first one here. And he says, what the fuck, in her delusional era or whatever. And I say, what the fuck? It's fine. Let me take it nice and slow for you. So then I came back after this last res, and I pulled one enemy at a time. That's it. One at a time. To which point, he gets really pissed and said, average parse score, 5.7. Which you should not be able to see parse data. Because average parse score, 5.7. And right when we finished battling this last mob, there was a gate. And the only way to get through the gate is to destroy a laser on the left and a laser on the right. And I just said, everybody stand back. Lasers hurt. I'll take care of it. And no need for heals. And that was the one that sent him. because that was the one they booted me on. And it popped up, and Travis didn't vote. He just hit X and didn't know what happened, and I automatically popped up in Limsa Lamensa, and I was like, motherfucker. So I tried to respond to him, but it didn't let me respond after that.
Did Travis end up, did they keep talking? Did Travis grab any of the chat log?
He didn't grab any chat log. They did respond to him. They said, sorry you had to put up with that. And Travis responded with something along the lines of, like, I run with them all the time and they do just fine. You're the problems here, and dipped or whatever. I told him how to leave. But, like, that's all that happened.
So there's a couple things that I want to touch on in there because it's very important.
Did you figure out where the WoW player, like, how I knew they were WoW players?
I'm assuming it was when they called you sweetheart, but also...
It was the parse data. As
It's
soon
the
as they
parse
mentioned,
data. I was
as
gonna
soon as
say,
they
it's
mentioned the parse,
data. Yeah.
I told Travis, as soon as they mentioned the parse, I go, that's not a thing you should be able to see. I was like, and the only people that care about that are WoW players that are running raids.
Yeah,
and
so
I had to explain to him what it was. But
there's a reason that Final Fantasy has kept that out of their game, and they make it a bannable offense. By the way, they will. And when I mean bannable, I don't mean like, oh, they'll just time out your account a little bit. They will shut your account down. They don't care how many characters you have. Get fucked. You're done.
I have his name. I wonder if I could post.
You could. You absolutely could.
If you
And
guys
should. And I should just
Record evidence.
take a picture of the chat log where he talks about my parse data and send it to them.
Yep, you should. But so here's the thing. There's a couple things there. One, just to clear the air for everybody, I have been playing with Alex since I got you in on Stormblood, right? Shadowbringers launched shortly after there, and then we went basically...
I think it's been 6 years by my math.
Yeah, and I'd only been playing maybe a year and a half longer than that before I finally convinced you to play it. So, we've ran through all of the content since that point. But basically, I stopped progressing in Heavensward for him to catch up, and we went from Heavensward to Stormblood to Shadowbringers to Endwalker.
Yeah.
All the way through. So, the idea that he cannot run a dungeon is asinine. We have ran many dungeons blind, just the two of us.
Oh yeah, and raids.
And we have made it, and raids and everything, and made it completely fine. Mm-hmm. So, no, that's not an issue. That's the first part. Second part is, looking up parse data for a dungeon pull is the most dumb shit you can ever do, because nobody's doing what they're supposed to be doing in those dungeons because you're trying to get them done fast. The difference being is that on a day one release for a dungeon, you are taking it slow and doing everything to max damage because they're tuned to stop you. Like they are when a new dungeon rolls out, it's supposed to be the tippy top of what you can do at that moment, right? So you take it slow, pull by pull, so that you don't get overwhelmed. But once you circle back on that content at the end, when you're done with all the patches and you have raid level gear and all that other shit that's attached to your account, my parse data as a healer would be in the negatives because I would be doing nothing damage. I'm casting Holy a couple times to stun people, but other than that, I'm just focused on keeping up healing because we've pulled way more than what's to be allowed. The only time that parse data...
We're also so far ahead. I know people don't know this, but you know this from doing these low dungeons. I have a full rotation I could go through. But when you're in these dungeons, I don't need to. So I have, as a tank, I have one attack that grabs aggro that just spins my axe above my head and does group damage. So I just spam it. Because, again, as quick as we can get, just press the button and move on, right?
Yeah.
So my parse data is crap because I'm doing the same attack just over and over.
But that's because I'm just trying to keep aggro so that the DPS can sit there and knock everything down. But that's how you do those big pulls. Mm-hmm. It's not rocket science. But also... So there's that piece of it, but the only time that parse data actually matters, and I say matters in the loosest of terms, but that is when you are trying to do the top 1% of content. When you are looking to do...
The Savage
tier, and that's for WoW players, it's like Mythic Plus or whatever, but for Final Fantasy, it's like Savage tier raids or World First, the ultimate raids. When you're doing those, yes, parsing matters because every single bit of damage and healing that you can eke out could be the difference maker between whether you finish it or not, because you're trying to find whatever the bare minimum is to be able of crafted gear versus what you need slotted and material slot. Like it becomes a different game when you're doing that. That being said, Final Fantasy XIV is absolutely playable without parsing. That's why they don't have it. But this kind of attitude that this person had in this exchange is exactly why it's banned. Is because the first thing that people do with it, well, you'll see arguments if you look on any 14 message board. You'll see arguments all the time from people being like, "Oh, I'm just using it to better myself. I don't really care about other people." Blah blah blah. That might be true for you. But on the whole, what happens when parsers are allowed, or when people do it and they're allowed to see parsers for the entire group, is it is immediately used to shame somebody in that particular instance. And had Alex been doing a Savage tier raid and trying to clear it day one and his average parse score was a 5.7, sure, somebody could look at him and be like, "Hey man, I don't think you're doing this correctly." That being said, if you were to ask Alex, would he just be pressing that one button during his Savage Day 1 tier raid, his answer would be no. I would be doing my full rotation because that's what's required in that moment.
And the crazy thing, too, is, like, the community on 14 is so great that, like, we've run into things where we don't know what we're doing. Like, it's just happened in the past. But if somebody looked at a date on a Savage and said, "Hey, you're not doing it right," it wouldn't be like, "You're not doing this right, go home, you noob, you're the worst." It would be like, "Hey man, it looks like you're showing, like, as a tank, this is what you should be doing." And they would tell you, right? It's this game for so long has done a great job at keeping the toxic people out. The downside of it being more popular than ever, sometimes they're starting to seep in.
And to be clear, I can count between two hands the amount of toxic people this is over a course of 8 years. So like this community is still the best community in games. It is the least toxic of anything I've ever had. But to your point, it's more popular than ever now, and so now I think we're up to like maybe 7 total times that I can remember somebody being shitty. And for a game that's been going on this long to be able to accomplish such a low number like that is incredible, but also it's times like that where you bring out the report button. And
it was
you get them removed from the game because they don't need to be
It was the whole thing. Like, the funniest part of it was the fact I got booted, because this never happened. And, like, I told Travis, I was like, "Hey, here's what happened, here's what you should have done," because it would have been even funnier if they were forced to run the whole dungeon. Because I was to the point where I was pulling one mob at a time. We would have pushed that 64-minute time limit, and I know they would have been losing their minds. Because you can't, if it's a stalemate on the vote, nobody leaves. So, like, you're either closing your game or just dealing with it, right? Like, just, you're leaving and you're taking the penalty. But yeah, it was really funny. He was toxic. It was really funny, all in all.
Yeah.
I was toxic too, to be fair. I was giving it back, so it wasn't just him.
But this is why there's plenty of times where if Alex is running something, he'll be like, "I'm very mad that I'm not online right now," because when we run together, we have no issues.
There's certain things I don't tank when you're not on. It's rare anymore. Like, anymore to the point where I'll tank even all the raids that are current and not a problem. But sometimes there are things where I go, do I want to just do DPS and not worry about, some other healer, because I know they're just not going to be as good, and it's very frustrating.
I get irritated even when when I'm not healer. Like, if I'm running as a tank and I have to deal with another healer, and I'm like, "Word, all right, this is what we're doing. Cool."
It's ridiculous. So anyway, I know that took up a long time of Preston's comment corner there, but I know we forgot it last week, so I wanted to bring it up this week.
That's an incredible exchange. That's very funny.
It was great. Yeah, it was great. Cool. So who wants to start with their weeks?
I'll start.
All right.
I didn't really do too much. The only thing that I'm still playing Euden Chronicles Rising. It's still good. I'm very excited to get to the main game. The only thing that I've done is I've played both DLCs for Final Fantasy 16.
There you go.
I know both of you are going to go get to them, so I'm not going to spoil anything here. I very much enjoyed my time with both of them. They were very good. The first one, The Echoes of the Fallen, is solely directly aimed at Final Fantasy XIV players.
Oh.
Alex, you'll see why when you go through it. For people who are not 14 players, it will still be very cool, but there are music cues. I mean, it's everything. Everything is aimed directly at people who have played 14. But it's very good. I like that a lot. And then the Leviathan DLC is incredible. I thought that it added a great little bit of story. It rounds out everything. The secondary mode that comes from it, which is essentially, think of it as like a Bloody Palace mode, like that you would get like in the Devil May Cry game. That comes with its own icon power to unlock inside of it, which is that is also incredible. But the Leviathan power is sick. I'm not going to say anything about it, but there's a meme that's going around, which is the Leviathan DLC basically just asked the question, what if we gave Clive a shotgun? And you'll see, I will leave you with that image. It's very funny, but it's kind of on the nose. It's very funny.
Can I ask, like, how do you feel with where it fits, right? Like, can you then go into the final boss with the icon power of Leviathan now? Like, how does that...
And the other one, yeah.
All right, interesting.
Yep, and they tie it in whenever this game comes to PC and all of this is tied together, it will not feel like anything has changed. Like they make it so that it flow. There's a reason that they want you to have Origin unlocked, which is basically the leading up to the final moment of the game, for these DLCs to trigger. As far as like level and how difficult they are, but story-wise, they make complete sense. You have no issues jumping to those moments. Like they make it very clear as to why Clive is going at that moment, for when they both trigger. So that's good. Story's great. There is a boss fight in the Leviathan DLC. That's not Leviathan, but it's before that. That is probably my favorite fight in all of Final Fantasy.
Okay,
every single game. There is a fight that is in here that is one of... It's absolutely the best. It's one of the best, for sure. I've only just recently finished it, so I need to sit with it a little bit longer, but it's incredible. I have no notes on that fight. It's the best. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I want to say about it in a non-spoilery manner. I'm glad I waited to do this before going to do a New Game Plus, because if I had to go through New Game Plus without these two new powers that I would have had, I would have been very bummed. These new powers are so fun. That's it. That's all I've done.
All right. Okay.
Oh, we played some Halo today. Me, Alex, Jake, and I very much apologize. I don't remember the other person's name.
Well, we played with two. We played with Cal earlier, and then he logged off and Scott hopped on.
Scott, thank you. Yeah. So, had some good matches. They were fun. I did experience a single instance of netcode shenanigans, where I swung a gravity hammer and it did not kill the person that I believe it should have. For the rest of that, though, my matches were great. Jake was having his typical amount of issues, and Alex had a couple. I think a case study needs to be done on how netcode issues affect shooters specifically. So just to be clear, like when netcode things happen, because I know it can be very frustrating, but like you know, like Jake was like, why aren't you more mad that your gravity hammer didn't connect? And I was like, well, it's the first time it's happened to me, and I can't even remember how long. But also, like, no game is going to have perfect netcode. It's impossible. Like, there's not a game on this planet that has perfect netcode. It will never happen. Even with the best connections, the best everything. Like, even when Preston and I were hardwired playing Street Fighter 6, which has impeccable netcode, we still had a couple hiccups. It's the internet. Like, that. It's just what happens.
Yeah.
But it's all about the mitigation of how many issues happen in between there. And maybe this is a topic that we could do sometime, so it's not like I'm looking for answers here when I say this, but I think it's interesting how in fighting games, if a hiccup happens and both players realize it, and the game does bring up a situation, it's like, hey, you can go ahead and just like vote no contest. You guys can continue playing the match, but if you don't want it to go against your rankings or whatever, you can press this and it'll be fine. Whereas I don't know that there's any solution that shooters could implement that makes this problem okay for people, right? Like, so, and the reason I say this is like, even if, like, let's say best case scenario, once every 6 months, you had a moment where the netcode shitted out on you and you were supposed to get a kill or you were supposed to do something and it didn't happen. People would still go online and type, this game is dog shit, and then they would put a clip up of what happened, and they would be like, it's fucking infuriating, I was supposed to kill this person, and it didn't happen, and I'm mad now, and my day is ruined, and I'm not picking at Jake or anything like that, even though he does say those things, but he's not the only person. Everybody says this when it happens. But it's not even just a Halo thing, right? Like, it happens when people are playing Call of Duty. It happens when people are playing Fortnite. I mean, like, whatever, right? Like, any game. If you have a beat on somebody, and you know, like, okay, this is going to happen, and then for whatever, through no fault of your own, it doesn't, it creates a vitriolic feeling in the person unlike any other genre, and it's just very interesting. I don't know.
I think Halo's worse. I'm not saying the netcode is worse. The feeling is worse because if you're shooting, if you have a battle rifle and I have an assault rifle, we both have guns, and you beat me based on the netcode, maybe I'm frustrated because maybe I go, oh, I saw you first. I feel like I unloaded more bullets, so like I feel like I should have. But you go, oh, okay, it is what it is. Problem is, Halo has a couple of weapons, sword, hammer, rockets, that when something doesn't go right, it's more apparent because these are insta kill weapons. So there's there's no difference of like you saw me first sort of thing. So I think in Halo it's more apparent when stuff breaks, especially when you're using those weapons, which leads it to be more frustrating.
Because we'll notice when we switched over to SWAT and the complaints dive bombed. Like, right. People were way less angry during that game. People still got a little bit angry, but it was way less, yeah. Right? But that's a great point. It is more apparent when it happens. That being said, it's still, I don't think it changes the reaction. Like, it still is infuriating when it happens. And I would be very interested to know what, like, maybe, I don't know, maybe do you bring back like peer-to-peer matchmaking, like where it's just like you when you go to click on a game, instead of just connecting to a server that everybody else is like, maybe it's like, hey, this is a hosted server and your connection is this good to it and you should connect to it, and there's other servers that your connection, they're farther away from you and your connection's not as good, so you shouldn't connect to them. Mm-hmm. Like, I know that's a very clunky interface, but like, I'm just thinking, I'm like, maybe that fixes it for most people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very interesting.
When we were playing, and you know, I experience these things a lot. Jake experiences them a lot, so I've seen it. But like, we were playing today. Somebody in a game you were in was looking at you guys, like scoped in with a spiker. I run up behind him with a hammer, and I slam it on him. Like, not near them, like on them. Like, if this was real life, it would be one of those things where their head just kind of explodes. It goes into their neck, sort of thing. Like, came down on their head, and all they did was like bounce forward and break their shield. And I was like, huh, okay. And they just turned around and shot me. I was like, oh, okay. There's that, right? So it is more frustrating when stuff like that happens when you're playing. Like, if I get shot, I can be pissed, and I can maybe write it off that they were better than me, or I got a bad break. But when that stuff happens, you're just like, ooh, I want to break something right now.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. Maybe just bring back people's connection bars and just like let everybody see it and just
Yeah,
like,
let everybody know.
Yeah, like, oh, you're playing with a bunch of red bars right now. That's why.
Yeah.
And maybe you just are able to compartmentalize it differently by seeing that. I have no idea, but it's very interesting nonetheless. Either way,
Yeah.
that was my week. It was good.
I'll go because mine was also short. I had to do some traveling to visit some family, which limited me to playing on the Steam Deck since last we talked. So I didn't get any Halo in with Jake until today. I played 14 and System Shock, which is the game I've been playing. That's really all I've played. I'm when I'm getting time, I'm playing Like a Dragon. I'm just in this weird like mindset where I'm sucked into 14, but I'm also just doing everything I can to make sure I am fully geared with all of my characters before this launches in a little bit. And I'm just having fun trying to gear up. So it's really it. Pretty simple. And yeah, I don't even think I've watched that many shows. Last time we talked about Fallout. Like that's what I watched, but I just spent a lot of time visiting family in West Virginia. Everybody will be happy to know.
Coal mines are still coaling.
I guess we don't live that far south, but you know it's still West Virginia,
you live
man.
In a mine. We know. Mine.
It's some of it's depressing. It really is. A lot of stuff shut down and like boarded up. Tutors is still great. Best biscuits in the South. They won an award recently. That was awesome. So we had some Tutors.
I'm still so bummed I didn't try them when I drove by.
You should be. I went to a nephew's soccer game, like little children playing soccer, and I saw my old college roommate that I lived with for years. Mm-hmm. Got a chance to catch up with him. That was kind of cool, right? For a minute.
And he was like, it was like the thing from The Office, like, oh, Big City Alex coming back.
No, it was good. We were close. I mean, we were close for years, so it was really nice seeing him. But yeah, that's kind of my week. Pretty simple and easy.
Yep, I think we're all the same. Not a whole lot of playing. Did some more Final Fantasy 12. Not a whole lot. I was starting up that dungeon. Got a little bit through it, and then we had a friend asked us to play some Halo. So me and Christian jumped on Halo with them. I wasn't doing too hot on Halo, but it's always fun to hang out and play games with friends. So there's that. More Force Unleashed. We're getting through there. It's feeling better. I'm kind of getting more of like the combo feels and just kind of getting the swing of things. So I'm still liking it, still enjoying it. We haven't gotten to the Death Star. It should be, I think, possibly end of the next episode. If not, beginning of the one after that. So as far as getting the Star Destroyer one, I really want to test out because I'm playing on PC, but I'm playing with controller. And I've had a lot of people be upset about that interaction. So we'll see if it still holds up. Other than that, caught up on all my shows. Shogun had like a pretty substantial episode last time. Some shit went down. It's kind of just...
I gotta catch up. I'm still behind on that.
Me too. Yeah. I'm on episode 3, I think.
Gotcha, yeah. I think they're kind of putting pedal to the metal right now as far as like getting closer to the end, wanting to kind of get to the end of their arc at least. So it's still good though.
I'll be honest with you. The biggest detriment to that show is FX and Hulu. Oh, yeah. If it was on another streaming service, even one that didn't have commercials like an HBO, I actually think it'd be more successful. But honestly, Hulu's not always my go-to, so I actually just forget it exists. Like it doesn't always show up on Up Next. I love the show.
It's on Disney Plus now.
I like it a lot.
My thing with Hulu that pisses me off is I get so irritated about the commercials every single time.
I mean, there is an ad-free version, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm not paying. No,
but
sorry.
the ads.
I'm not paying more.
The
for
most
that
egregious
bullshit.
thing, honestly, they should be taken to court over this. Which is after a while, it'll pop an ad up on screen, and if you never touch anything, if you don't pause the episode and play it again, it'll stay forever. It'll never go away. The show will play behind it. That should be illegal. It should be illegal.
But there's shows, even with the ad-free version, they put like a little asterisk. There are shows that still run ads in the ad-free version.
Yeah, they're built in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's garbage. No, I'm not paying for that just to still get ads. But either way, I just get irritated. I'm just like, if I wanted to watch shitty commercials, I would just pay for cable.
Yeah.
Well, luckily, a lot of those, because since Disney is like absorbing Hulu, a lot of those Hulu shows are now finally going over to Disney. So like Shogun and everything you can watch through Disney. And I mean, I'm sure Whichever ones have the baked-in ads, you probably still get ads for. But yeah, no, you should be fine if you want to go through Disney instead.
The Shogun's great.
Yeah, Shogun's good. Finished the first season of Jujutsu Kaisen. Majority of them I did not watch while playing game, so I did kind of focus more in on it. It was getting a lot better. It was more combat heavy towards the second half. The goofiness is growing on me. I don't hate it as much, but yeah, it's really good. Animation is top tier, phenomenal, best of the best. So the only thing that is weird is I was obviously watching on Crunchyroll, so they have season 1, it's like 26 or whatever episodes, and then they got just right below it. It just says season 3. Then goes season 2. Season 3 is a movie, but it's called episode 0, so it's supposed to be like a prequel to everything. Like, oh, well, I didn't know that this was supposed to be a prelude. I'm like, to be fair, you should watch the first season, so that way you kind of get like information on the world, and then you watch the movie, so that because that way you kind of know what's more going on in this universe. And then the season 2 starts up with just as many, like 20-some episodes. So we'll be going into that later.
I can explain that to you, Preston. The reason that that's so fucked up in that menu is because Crunchyroll sucks. And
Yeah, it really does.
And they have a horrible app experience. They don't give a shit about their users. And the problem is that we're all fucked paying for our own separate country rolls, just so everybody, knows. But we're fucked, and we don't have any other ways to go because they've killed all other apps, more or less. So
keeping track,
when it goes up to $100 a year...
Yeah, you'll pay it.
There's nothing that anybody can do. If you like anime, you're watching it here, or you're not.
If the thing that's crazy too is like keeping up with some of these animes is impossible because like for people who don't watch anime, you're only used to conventional TV or conventional streaming services where like every season has the same amount of episodes. They're the same length. It is what it is. But like take a JoJo, every season has different kind of names and themes, may have different amounts of episodes, might be broken up into different parts, and on top of all of it, you have to manage subbed versus dubbed. It's impossible
not only
to
that,
keep
man,
up with those shows.
And JoJo is not even the worst part. JoJo at least is sequential. When you go on a JoJo is one of the few shows on Crunchyroll that's sequential that you can just watch and like not fucking worry about it. I would try to like watch like Mob Psycho. Great show. I love Mob Psycho. Everybody should watch it. It's phenomenal. I've talked about it, a long time ago. That show decides that what it's going to do different than any other show is that when it breaks its seasons out by language, so like it'll be like season 1 Japanese, season 1 English, German, Spanish, blah, 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 all the way down. And then we'll mix in all of the season 2, season 3, all of that shit the same way. So it looks like this show has 400 seasons when you try to nav through it, but you're only trying to look for the Japanese or the English one, depending on, what either whether
if
you're on the right side of history or the wrong side of history.
Right, if you're also Preston.
But you go through there, and they're all fucked up. It's just so... If I had my way, somebody would take Crunchyroll to court and make them explode into different companies. It's so crazy to me that they were allowed to buy Funimation or push Funimation out of it. Funimation, and then they were like, hey guys, we know that you're upset about the Funimation app going away, but don't worry. We're going to make sure all of that is available here. Psych, you thought. We're not doing that, and we're raising our prices to $100 a year. If you liked any of those shows, you better go find the physical versions. Go fuck yourselves. Like, that's literally... Like, it's crazy to me that they're allowed to get away with this. Unbelievable.
It's okay.
Anyway.
But the expensive tier Crunchyroll, you get like a little plushie with it. So, there's that.
Well, now all my concerns have went away.
Yeah, it's a little plushy waifu. You should be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Other than that, that's pretty much my week. I play a lot of System Shock. I usually try to do it during the daytime, so I don't get too scared. Even though I still get jump scared when an android jumps from like a staircase or something like that, or up the stairs to come at me. It fucking freaks me out.
I have not been jump scared on this game yet.
I've been twice.
I think we're playing
one of
different
the first
games.
areas, I was coming down a hallway and an android was right there, like just standing in the doorway, like intruder detected. I'm like, God, Jesus. And then the second one was, I think, maintenance, and then I was kind of walking. There's a staircase going down, and as I'm walking forward, like an android thing like jumps at me as I'm coming through there. I'm like, Jesus, and I jumped both of those times. But I was playing a lot of it. So what I've been doing with this game now is, and we'll get into like the actual minute details when we get into the video game book club. But I do it on Sunday. I give it a good handful of hours, see how I do, so that way I don't have to worry about too much when Tuesday comes around, my other day off. And I'll play a couple more hours to finish out, round it out. What's been happening these past 2 times is that I play through it for a couple of hours on Sunday, get pissed off at it because I'm doing something wrong to where like.
Sorry, when you say past 2 times, we've only played it 2 times.
I know both of these times.
Okay.
It's been to where the first session is me getting upset because I'm not playing the game the way it's supposed to be played. 'Cause it's a survival horror game, and I'm going through it like it's fucking Doom or Quake. And then so this past time, I got to a point where I'm running out of health packs, running out of health, running out of ammo, and I'm like, God damn it. And then I come back to it on Tuesday. I'm like, slow it down, save after every encounter.
Yeah.
Like just do it that way, so that way you're not getting yourself fucked. Did much better. Still don't know what exactly I'm doing, but, we'll talk about it and you guys will help me out because I did finish the areas that we needed to finish. I just don't know what I'm doing after that. So we'll get to that.
Let me ask a question. When you say you're playing it wrong, it's a survival horror game, like, what aspects, like, what are you doing wrong? Because I'm with you. Even on easy, the game's tough. Like, I save all the time. I die a lot, even on easy. So, like, but what do you consider you doing wrong? Like, how are you playing it?
So I'm not like taking it slow. So I'm kind of getting into areas, not assessing the situation, not saving right before a bunch of areas, wasting ammo as far as like not making it to where I should be using certain types of ammo for certain types of enemies, and going through it that way to make sure to mitigate how much ammo I am using. So I should be using the 9mm pistol bullets, the basic ones, on like robots because I should be using my energy weapons because those do a lot more damage. Or I should be using something with armor penetration as far as the ammo that goes into the gun.
So the game like autosaves like every 5 seconds, like the world state.
No, it does not.
It does.
Oh,
Okay,
the world state. You're right. Yeah, he's right because like if you kill enemies and stuff, they won't always be there. Yeah, you're right.
Yes. When you die and you respawn, everything is exactly how you left it the second that you die. There's nothing like.
Your log you've picked up, you already have. You don't have to pick it up again. Yeah.
Right. So like, what my point is that it's not very punishing when you die. So like, I've had a couple times where I died this time where I could have been using like healing packs, but I was like, well, it's not worth it. Like, there's a bunch of enemies in this room, and I know like the path to get here, so I'll just come in, do as much damage as I can, kill the amount of people that I can, and then die, respawn, do it until I've cleared the whole room out. And then I'll worry about healing because there's no point in me spamming all of my health packs just to keep getting smoked by all of these people in this room when I can just keep nonstop throwing myself at the room with no punishment.
So I mean, you do like if I'm the guy who's been using the health packs and I go into there and I die and I don't have any health packs when I go back there. So all I got is my full health and I've been using my ammo, so my ammo's all gone as well. But like my part 2s have been for the past 2 times, for both times of all times I've been playing it, I've been taking it a little bit easier. I've been kind of being careful with my ammo consumption, taking my time to look around a whole bunch more to like make sure like, okay, well, if that area's got a whole bunch of fucking guys in it, let's not do that right now. Let's go around and do something else instead of beating our head against that room. And I did just fine. I cleared out our areas, and I am looking for a couple more things to get the security. But I did get upset those first couple times because I'm going in, I'm treating it like a Doom shooter, where I'm going in there just taking whatever gun I can, and then just kind of try to take things down, and that's not how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to be more conservative, be careful with your health, and save before your instance if you want to continue doing that, without having to backtrack and go all the way back around.
And we didn't talk about this last time, but this game does not want you to fall in love with one gun and stick with it.
It does not, yeah. No.
Like, it wants you to just change weapons, take whatever you have at the time, deal with what you got. I have found my love in the shotgun. I find shotgun does most everything. I try, if I can, from distance, I'll try and snipe things, because headshots do what headshots do, and will, like, kill people pretty instantly, which is great. But,
I've been using the electric sword.
That's my
favorite, so we'll talk about the rapier, because that comes in today. But the shotgun as a gun has been kind of my go-to, and the Magnum. But yeah, all right. So today, part 2, we made it through. We said we were going to go through 2 parts, which was maintenance and storage. There was a slight pivot to where we ended up doing 3 sections. because of reasons we'll talk about in a moment. So we end up doing maintenance, storage, and flight deck. And we kick things off in maintenance. You remember last time we gathered Isotope X-22. We have that. I assume you guys are still carrying it with you. We found out
Got that
that...
from research, yeah.
Yeah, got that from research. We found out that Shodan is planning on turning the mining laser on Earth and killing people there. Or if you want, you do it for her and just kill people in Detroit, as I did. But that's what they're looking to do, and we know we are trying to stop that. So we end up in maintenance. We find ourselves in the central section. And when we pop out of here, we realize there's actually not a lot to do in maintenance. There's a lot of closed doors.
Yeah.
Really what you have available to you is the main open square, where there's like the main open hallway, it connects in a square, and then there's like every level seems to be broken up where you have a central section and you have a north, south, east, and west. They consider it like Docking Bay Delta, Docking Bay Alpha, Gamma, and so on. But really it's north, south, east, and west. For this one, minus one side, you only had the central section. So there really wasn't a lot to do here other than destroy some cameras and pick up, Christian, as you said, a couple of new weapons. And then these weapons are going to be they're power weapons, right? So this one is going to be the rapier, the power rapier, which is incredible. It is just a laser sword.
It is the
highest
so
damage
far,
yeah.
Based on what I've tested, it, especially if you use the Berserk patch, it is one of the highest damage weapons that we have available. It took out, there's a boss that we'll talk about later, it took 5 hits, and it killed it for me.
On easy, 2.
I'm playing on normal. So.
Yeah, I think that holds true to the game itself. It is one of the, if not the most powerful weapon throughout the entire game. So it's great, and I've been using that a lot too. And it uses some energy, but energy is kind of easy to replenish.
God, there's so many batteries everywhere.
Yeah, there's so many batteries, and there's like a lot more of the little charging stations that are infinite. You can run back to, so you can pick up that one, and then you can pick up another gun, the Magnum. And the Magnum is an enhanced version of the like X-22 pistol or whatever. And man, this thing packs a punch, especially against armored creatures. Like, it packs a punch.
It's good stuff.
Beyond that, that's all we really did on maintenance. There wasn't really story there yet. Like, everything is closed back to us, which is why we continued on, because I know we are going to have a lot of coming back to do. So we hop on the elevator. We get right to storage. And as soon as we get to storage, we are actually greeted by Anna Parofsky, who is one of the people that's been talking to us along the way and guiding us. And she says, hey, we need your help. There are survivors on the bridge. We're all barred up here. Make your way to us. Like, make your way to us survivors, and we're going to figure this thing out. So now we know what our objective is. We're on storage. We know what we're doing. We have this really cool laser sword, and what do we run into immediately? 2 brand new enemy types. Both are flying. Both tell your sword to go F itself.
Yep.
So you get this really cool sword, and you can't use it because you have flying robot turrets that shoot 1,000 bullets a second, and if you are not in cover, will tear you up instantly. Or you have these other mutant avian creatures that have have also come with the new damage type, which is just radiation damage, and will just pop you with toxic stuff and just take incredible damage over time. I died to both of these things way too many times when I first popped out of storage.
And like in the first maintenance area, there's also those like spore things that will also shoot that kind of stuff at you. I did that to those guys a lot because, let's say, with the current boots that you have, you can't run backwards as fast as those guys can try to hit you at. So if you're like running away and it still shoots you, that thing will still hit you trying to run away from it. Which kind of
say, with the new flying ones, what I did, there was a couple times where I didn't want to waste any ammo on them, and I knew that the sword would still work. So if you wait around a corner above stairs, they will not change their altitude, and they will come at whatever level you're at. So I wait as soon as they turn the corner, then I'm like, bang, bang, and then they die, and I like move on. But you can't swing too many times, because if you swing too many times, they'll explode, and then you'll damage yourself.
Yeah, they suck. And I have to say, I found it real funny that the game gives you this really cool sword if you take the time to find it, to immediately say, congrats, you can't use it. Like, that was done so purposeful, and it was
for sure.
so irritating.
So later on, there will be, and I just found this out by looking some stuff up to how to get the flight deck. I don't think we got into it yet, but there will be a spot where you can get a second one. Not that you can dual wield it, but just one of them, or placement. But the second one, if you change the color of your UI, it will change the color of the blade on the sword as well.
Oh, very cool.
So not right now, but if you see that second one later on, I think it's in the next, I think the executive corridor area. There's a sword you can find in there, and if you change your UI, it will change the blade color, which I thought was cool.
This is a great time to pause for a moment before we get into the rest of Swords, which this whole section, because the game loop kind of is the game loop, it's not incredibly long. This is a great time to pause it and just make a mention. Have you guys seen screenshots of the original System Shock? I just did for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen
Very
them.
different.
Very gray, neon green, and red, right? Like, it is very 90s, but if all you knew was this 2023 version, you would have such a different expectation going back. And that's what happened to me, right? Like, I knew the game. I've never played the game. So I'm playing 2023. I'm like, oh, this is gorgeous. What they did to this environment looks great. I wonder how they enhanced it differently. And, like, I look up pictures and I'm like, oh, my God. Like, this is just a different game. Like, this team did an incredible job bringing whatever that was to life in the modern day.
So I have someone shadowing me at work right now, and I talked to him about it because he's a little bit older than me. He remembers building his first PC for this game, like the original
That's
version.
incredible.
So yeah,
That's incredible.
It's a very well-known, very good game. So,
but like I love their attention to detail. To your point, Preston, when we first started playing during our first session, I started going through all the menus and stuff, and they have different UIs. You can be like hacker and assassin and all this, and it changes everything. Changes it to purples, and like just great detail. So, the team that did this, amazing job bringing this game to life for 2023.
Christian, first off, we found a respawn point in maintenance, which was the first time we found those. I didn't even know what that was until I accidentally died after that. And then you respawn there with all your stuff, which is, I think, is really cool. Very nice. Christian.
Wait, the first one you found was in maintenance?
Is it maintenance or storage? It's one of those two places you can find the first one.
It should have been in the first playthrough.
Should be in every level. So,
I didn't find the first one until we got to maintenance. So
it should be in every level so
that
far.
was new to me. Christian, have you died without a respawn point yet?
Not without a respawn, no. But that's because I always had a respawn because they're in every level. So I did not have that. I have died now with the respawn point. And that brings up, I didn't realize that you guys were asking me to die without a respawn point because I would have already told you that's impossible.
Well,
because
I thought that we didn't get a respawn point until like in that maintenance area, which was I was telling you, like, hey, when you get in maintenance, just go ahead and just save it real quick and die.
I did, but it just loaded me downstairs. And I was like,
it will.
Okay.
So yeah.
And I was like, neat trick, guys. I don't.
The only time it won't do
up.
that would be with the boss. If you would have died in the boss, it would not have done the respawn for you.
Okay.
From what I understand.
But it doesn't. Yeah, because I died once to the boss. It doesn't. But it's a little different, and it kind of gives it away. So I'll go ahead and tell you, because now that we fought the boss,
I'm not going to be able to see it.
Now the cat's out of the bag. So the boss that we will talk about later, its character design, up to this point, we haven't seen that yet, right? So in level 1, 2, 3, if you die, Shodan will taunt you, and Shodan will be like, oh, like you thought you were going to come in here and stop me, but I'm so happy to see that you have decided to go my way about things, and that creature, that metal
spider robot
creature, the spider robot, comes down and inserts you in
Into
the
it.
robot.
I see.
And she's
Okay.
like, I'm so happy for you to be joining us in the fight against humanity. And it's just a really cool touch. And it was really great because, like, at the time we hadn't seen that. It will be a boss later, so like. Now you've seen it kind of loses a little bit of that luster. But it's cool. It's well done. She taunts you differently every time, depending on like where you are and what you're working on, and so on. But you're
so
right.
Now that is so like I died the first time and it just loaded up the little boot screen and then like your character does the hand thing and I was like, I don't know that this was worth it, but sure. Like I just didn't get. I was like, but okay, I guess. I was like, I was like, they have to mean something else. I was like,
Yeah.
I'll ask them when I see it, and then I just went forward. But
Your dead body's on the ground, and the spider walks over and picks you up and like inserts you into it. So it's very well.
It's
done.
very cool. Yeah.
The respawn's well done too, though. With that being said, not as
Sure,
fun, but like the whole like you forming back up
Yep.
and the bits making like really good, really good. Again, these huge details are great. So we're in storage. We're making our way through storage, and very early on, as we make our way around a couple of turns, we encounter a third brand new enemy type, and this one actually allows us to use our rapier if you choose to. You can crouch, walk up behind it, and you get to encounter the aptly named Gorilla Tiger. It is a half tiger, half gorilla, black and white. That's all it is. It's very cool. I was disappointed in a couple of things. One, like, I would have liked to have more backstory on why it's here in storage. Two, I would have liked the payoff to be more than a couple of sword swipes and kill it, right? Like, I think that was worthy of a mini boss fight, personally. And three, we only see this once in this entire playthrough so far, so we are now at 50% of the game by the end of this. This is the only place it appears. It was 2 swipes and dead. So I'm not quite sure the purpose it served, other than looking really, really cool.
So for me, I come down the stairs, I see this thing, and I'm like, or I come down the grab lift, I see this thing, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? All right, crouch, and I do the charge. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna fucking smoke this thing. And I was like, I'll just keep swinging. So I just start mashing the button after the first charge hit. I do it 3 times, and on the third one, it cuts it in half.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay. And I was like, was I supposed to kill this? I was like, maybe it was, I don't know. Okay. And I just walked right back. I was like, I guess I'll never, I guess that was that moment. Sure. I agree with you. It's one of those, it's really like a cool design. And then it just kind of like dies, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess. Like I don't know what else maybe it's on me for expecting something more. I don't know. Like I was like, but this thing looks
we're
cool,
all on the
and
same page with that. Like, it's a little bit short lived. I think there'd probably be, because I didn't spoil myself, but I kind of know a couple of extra areas coming up, and I think there might be one that's just a little bit more full of life rather than androids. Okay. So we'll see when we get there.
Yeah, that would be cool. Like, it's
a weird spot just to have it randomly and then never again at that level.
And look, maybe it was cooler in the 90s. Like, maybe it looked cooler. It pushed the graphics a little bit more. It's a different design. I don't know. In 2023, with the laser sword, I was just like, all right, I feel like this deserved its own arena. That's all. So, where's that?
Yeah, who knows?
In these 2 levels, beginning here in storage, we start to actually like really upgrade our character. To this point, we've been upgrading our weapons, going to mod stations, popping on some better like aiming and more power.
Have you guys had the amount of currency to be able to do those when you get to them? I've never had a currency for them.
I have. I've done all of them so far, except I didn't do. There's 3 of them on flight deck. I did not. I only did 1 out of the 3.
So you're just vaporizing everything that you find.
Yes, I'm vaporizing everything I find.
I haven't because it's such a
plates and shit. Yeah,
I just don't. Yeah, I don't care. But for me, the currency that I do have, I use it on med packs.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm doing enough damage. I don't like. I was worried about it up until I found the rapier, and then I had like 40 berserk patches that I found, and so I was like, oh, who's gonna stop me now? Like I'm so fast. When I sprint by something and I do 1 charged hit, maybe a second one if you're a floating sentinel, and it's a wrap for you. So, like, I'm sure it will get harder later, but for me, I'm like doom wall surfing at this point, and I'm just coming by people just being like, womp, 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 and then just move on. Like
Christian's character is literally straight out of that anime you just watched from Cyberpunk, the Edge Runners. You're literally just like sliding on the walls. You have smoke coming off of.
I do have this stand right now. Oh yeah, like I'm moving past. I am David right now, just moving fucking a million miles an hour, and nobody can see me. Yeah.
So we start to get upgrades to ourselves, and yes, I have been vaporizing everything again. Like kind of like we talked about, Christian. Since I'm hosting this game, this is my game. I'm trying to do everything.
Sure.
I can, right? Just.
Oh, for sure.
I just think it's a lot to be picking up because you have to pick everything up as far as like cups, little beta panels like that, and then going in and vaporizing them, and then finding the recycle thing. It's just like, if I find like a broken gun, I might do it because it give you a big chunk, or if like my wrappers and my empty cans, I'll do it for. But other than that, no, I'm not pumped.
It would be.
It'd also be different if the exchange rate was in your favor.
Sure, it's not vaporizing. You lose
for
so
one
much.
coin is bullshit.
Yeah. Yes. And it would be different too. I mean, this is 30 years later, so nobody's going to change this. If I could like hit the Y button, instead of picking something up, if I could look at it and vaporize it without going to my menu,
yes,
man, that would save me so. I would just vaporize it.
Or I hate in the recycle stations. This is just This is a personal thing. I hate that I have to vaporize everything and then toss it into the recycle station. Just let me toss. If I find an extra pistol on the ground, even if it's not broken, just let me shove it in there. Anything that I can fit in that recycle station, let me shove it in there and then hit the recycle. Like, who gives a shit whether it's in a square or not? Like
I'm gonna try something just for fun. I don't know if this is gonna work. I want to know if I shoot a weapon on the ground, can I break it?
You can.
If I hit it with my sword, I can break it?
Yes.
So that's what I'm going to start doing. I'm just going to start breaking weapons that I don't need on purpose to get the big chunk and just doing that. Oh, interesting.
I'm like, if I end up getting to the point where I got to go around and grab everybody's cups and plates from different floors, I'll do it. But for right now, I'm doing so much damage that I just am like, well, until the game stops me, I'm gonna keep doing it. I like, to Preston's point, if I'm like eating a candy bar or some chips or something like that, I'll vaporize that. Or if I have the opportunity to grab something that doesn't completely destroy my inventory, I'll grab that and vaporize it. But right now, like, I've just now started, I didn't even want to use the goddamn cargo elevator, or like the chest that goes between levels, because I'm just like, this is stupid. I hate this. I hate this setup. I don't like this.
I put all my important stuff in them just so I don't have to carry it. So like the isotope I put in there, some other stuff I put in there. So I don't carry it with me.
I've started doing that now. Here's my thing. This is gonna sound like very boomer of me, but like, if you're gonna be a boomer shooter versus a survival horror game, pick a lane. Don't try to be both. Like, if you're going to have the Resident Evil style inventory management system, then have the Resident Evil style like chest system where there's save rooms everywhere, and every single save room, that inventory just magically shows up in between each one. This game kind of has that with the respawn rooms, but the respawn rooms are not all the time very conveniently placed. Sometimes when you're on a new floor, it's very far away from you, and you have to wait to die or run all the way back to get something that you might potentially need. It's not...
it's because they classify themselves, and I actually disagree with this, they classify themselves as an immersive sim. That is...
Which is a genre... Yeah,
and I actually...
Immersive sim is a genre. Yeah.
I actually disagree with this being classified as an immersive sim.
Here's the thing. I agree with it insofar as it's the first one. Like, immersive sims have now moved on to be like the Dishonored's of the world. Sure. The what was their most recent game? The people who did Dishonored, the Time Loop
Proof or something like that. Yeah,
it's the Time Loop one. Deathloop. Thank you. That's an immersive. Like, there's the immersive sim genre has gotten very far from its origins of System Shock and other things like it around that time, but it is. In a lot of ways, it shares a lot of DNA with modern immersive sims. The problem is that it came out in '94, and so it fits a lot of game design molds from games back then. It doesn't have
the quality of life.
No, but it does share... It's not like... It shares more DNA with an immersive sim than like Doom. It's just... Its problem is that it's also built like Doom, but trying to do other things with it and also deal with... I do not envy the situation that these developers were put in trying to do this ambitious of a project at the time, but it's just... There's things that I'm like... like the inventory. I'm just like, I'm not dealing with this until I'm forced to deal with it. I'm not dealing with this, and I'm just going to ignore it. And then like I finally just now like I was running out of inventory room so often. I was like, all right, fine, fuck it. I will put things in the cargo elevator. Like, and I started doing that. But
Yeah, I mean, to Preston's point, like I for a long time was playing this game like Doom and had to slow down because even on easy, I'm dying all the time, right? Like I was just run in there, got my key card, boop, swipe that door, and just start pumping shotgun shells, baby. And it doesn't always work.
You guys are describing how I'm playing the game right now. Except no shotgun. I mean, sometimes I use a shotgun, but for the most part, I just sword the shit out of people. And there's a couple times I've died, and I literally, as soon as I die, I'm like, okay, you'll be seeing me. And then I run back right to where I'm at. I'm like, I got half health, and I'm like, I'm back. And I keep chopping away at them, and their health was the same way that I left it. So I'm just like, I have no punishment. I can keep beating my head against this wall for as long as I want.
I should probably take advantage more. So I have a problem, and it doesn't matter what kind of game I play. When a game is this big, I am a hoarder. Just like, Christian, you know this, right? Like, just like we have to scrape the map, like, I hoard shit. Because I want to, like, min-max this game. So I want all the levels, I want all the health stuff, I want all the ammo, so come this in-game. I'm just going to, like, destroy it. But this game does not want you to play that way. So I'm not using the Berserk packs. I do have 60 of these things. I'm not using the other stuff. I have so many just because I don't, like, I go, oh, but what if I need them later? What if I need them?
I don't
it would be
use them
easier.
all the time, but when I see a room full of 5 people, I go, all right, pop it.
I'm sure.
I run in, womp, goodbye, and then I move on.
The only thing I don't
It
like
would
about
be-
them is that can you, and I should check this before I say it, but can you like assign them to a quick button or like, because like I know you can put them to 6, but then you have to hold on to it and then use it and then switch over to a different weapon. Is there a button you can just use? Like I want to press F7 so that way just it goes and uses it and comes back to my gun. Like
No, but
I feel like you
can order them. You can order them in a way you can do that. So if you want, you could put it like mine's 1, 2, 3, 4. So on the D-pad, so I could put shotgun, stem pack, plasma, so I could bounce back and forth that way, right? Like
Are you
to
playing with a controller or are you playing on mouse and keyboard?
Mouse and
control?
All right, so what you got to do, I'll tell you how I do it.
I got one through whatever on there, and I have
so
all
I don't-
my stems and stuff like that. Like as far as like that, like enhancers, I have that on the right side. I have my 4
I do
weapons on the
something-
left, and then you got the grenades in the middle.
I do something way more unhinged, and it's because I don't want to deal with the problem that you're describing, which is hit the button, press it, then try to switch back and go. It's far too clunky. I've devised what something is I'm sure is more clunky, but I mash it out very fast, and I enter the matrix and I do it. You open up the inventory screen, and you can still move and do things while that inventory is up.
But you can't turn your body, right? You can just run
No,
forward.
but so
You can just strafe sideways.
So you find the room that you're interested in. You go, okay, I'm gonna use it before I see all these motherfuckers. You back up. You open up the inventory screen. You still have your weapon. You right click the item that you want to use. You hit use, close the inventory, and then sprint right out of it, and then run in, and you're good to go. That effect has already happened, but by the time you've already turned the corner, that animation is done. Your weapon, which was previously selected, comes back out, and you're good to go. And you just fucking get after it that way.
That is
That's how I've been doing
absolutely
it.
that is absolutely equally as clunky.
But the difference is that I'm not in a situation where I'm getting shot at, fucking around, and then being like, press, switch back, come on, god damn it, and I'm trying to dodge people and all this other stuff. When I'm just like, all right, cool, I know what I'm like, get in there.
It might be more clunky on mouse keyboard. It's actually pretty seamless on controller, and I tell you, the reason it works well on controller is because it's just D-pad left and right, which is no different than Monster Hunter. So I just order things that make sense to me. I go shotgun, stem pack, or shotgun grenade, stem pack, and then like plasma. So I just go ba 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 ba, like either way, and just bounce between.
Just
them.
to be very clear, that is how you, a psychopath, plays Monster Hunter. Everybody else uses the shortcut buttons in Monster Hunter so they don't have to sit there and mash the D-pad to get to the button they want when they can just hold L1 and then flick it in the direction it needs to go.
No.
Just so everybody's...
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's why you guys get smoked.
We do just fine, thank you.
No, there's so many times where you're like, no, get to the potion, and then a fucking bomb explodes. I see you goes, sent back to camp, and I'm like, now I know why. It's because you guys are sitting there mashing the right on the D-pad, trying to get to your mega potion or to your antidote or whatever it is.
I am never, I am never trying to get to my Mega Potion, because as soon as I land in camp, it's on my Mega Potion. I'll be trying to get an antidote. I'll be trying to get an antidote, maybe, or barrel, but I'm always on potions, so... Anyway.
Use the shortcuts.
So this is where we start to upgrade our characters. The first thing we get is a brand new Turbo Motion Boots, which allows you to sprint slightly faster, and you get a little hover. You can hold X and just...
A lot more than slightly, and that's actually, I think that's a second upgrade that comes later, the hover.
No, you can do a little jump with this one, just like a straight up, just a.
Oh yeah, but that's just like a normal. It doesn't change your jump.
The
at
only
all.
thing I don't like about this
it gives you a slow fall.
Is that
no? That's the other one.
No, this one does. Yeah.
No, the second
this
one
one's
gives
just
you the slow fall.
So this one's just the run then.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
The 2.0 of the turbo boots.
I thought this one gave you a slow fall too.
The only thing I don't like about the 1.0, and I think I mitigated this by just tapping it over and over and over again. But like, if you hold the shift, like it's going to use energy to do that sprint, but you don't have a way of just using your default sprint anymore. Like
no, it's either
gone.
the turbo boost or nothing.
Or
yeah.
nothing.
So
But
you're going to spend your energy when you
so-
sprint. But so now I got to sit there and go tap 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 to kind of make sure it's not holding down using the energy. And it's
It
cool.
uses
so
little energy.
though, that I just don't care.
Yeah, it uses so little
For
energy.
someone who is not ammo conscientious as far as how much he uses, I need every little bit of that energy I can get.
It uses no energy.
I'm drowning in batteries right now.
Me
Like,
too. Me too.
So here's the thing. Okay, so here's another thing I get upset about. On keyboard mouse, that's changing the type of damage your pistol does, as far as energy pistol, is right next to that fucking reload. Guess how many times I accidentally hit the reload button when I have plenty of energy, but I have a little bit gone, so it uses the whole battery. I do that way too many times. I get so pissed off at myself when I use it.
I've never reloaded my pistol. That pistol just cools down for me. I've never had to feed it energy.
That pistol, that energy pistol, like it uses your energy, right?
it does.
Right.
So when you get low, you have to recharge that pistol, like your
You do.
energy in general.
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
I'm talking about how I do it. Maybe you guys have a different electric weapon. Like it could be a different. Like maybe you're using because I know there's an electric rifle.
No, you're talking about the little
the
curved
pistol.
pistol.
This
The
is the
little
first one
curved
you found.
pistol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I shoot it, and then if I press the button a bunch, it goes red. It overheats.
Sure.
You just wait a second.
no.
And
I'm
then it
talking
comes
about
back.
your
He's
energy
talking about
meter.
when you run out of bullets. When you run out of bullets. For
You
the
run out of
pistols,
energy
what he's
meter.
talking about.
Sure. Yes. Okay.
So I run
But
out of
I never
ammunition.
recharge my pistol. It just
So you can use batteries to like recharge your energy because that
Yes.
recharges the ammo of your pistol essentially as well. Kind of.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it doesn't like you know what I mean though. Like that, but your energy is your ammunition. So
I
when you run
see
out,
what you mean. Okay.
For me
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
reload is me using a battery so I can get that energy back up. I've done that way too many times on accident. I should just remap the switching.
Well, you should just take it off your bar and then just use it in your inventory, like directly. Like I took the
I
batteries
don't
off
have
my
it
bar
on the
completely.
bar. The batteries are in my inventory, but if you have the pistol out and you just hit the R button, it will just automatically use a battery when you have an energy weapon out.
I have a ton.
Yeah, mine does not. If
I have a
if
ton
I
of
press R
batteries.
when I have my pistol out, nothing happens. My character just stands there.
I have a ton of batteries. I accidentally use them all the time because if you hit the X button, you're trying to pick something up or interact on controller. That's reload.
Oh,
and
okay.
if I miss, like if I go to pick it up real fast and I miss it, he goes shocks his hand in the battery.
I
I
had
was like,
only 2 bars missing. Why did I
Maybe-
use that?
luckily, if you're full, it won't actually use it.
no,
which
if you're
is
full,
a
it
nice,
won't use it. But if you got one
it's
sliver
nice.
off of there, it
Yeah,
uses it.
I do that all the time, but I have a ton
Maybe
of them. So it doesn't matter.
maybe I deleted that mapping already, and I just
No.
didn't.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So we continue along on maintenance. There's one other thing aside from the boots to pick up. This is the Environmental Protection Pack, which will help you from getting irradiated, which will become increasingly more important in the next level, where there's an entire section of this place that is nothing but toxic waste. But this level, for the most part, is really straightforward with the same goal that we've had, which is destroy the CPUs and take down Shodan's, take down her cameras, while picking up audio logs, and most of the audio logs continue just to be around the different environments. So there's not really a reason to dive into them, because what'll happen, you'll see somebody
There's one
dead.
in here that I want to dive into.
Okay, I was saying
Did
for the
you
most
guys
part,
find the one about the cat?
Yes, I have.
Mr.
Yeah,
Mittens?
he's very sad he hasn't seen his cat.
He's like, I love the idea that you are sending an audio log, the last audio log you'll ever record, to your wife. and your wife gets no play, nothing. He's like, my own, like, make sure you tell Mr. Mittens that I love him. Also, I wish I could see him one more time. And recording.
Nothing about wife.
Nothing about the wife, nothing about my potential kids, none of it. Mr. Mittens or bust. That's it. I laughed so hard when I was like, it's amazing.
I like the audio logs, but they're pretty. 99% of them are pretty basic, right? It's just like you walk into a room,
I think
you see a couple
is doing them.
You see a couple of dead
You're being
corpses.
nice.
Yeah, you're seeing a couple of dead corpses. You pick up an audio log, and the audio log is like, "Oh, we barred the door as long as we could," and then people made their way, like, the mutants made their way in and killed everybody. And you're like,
They're the
"Okay,
most
well now,
things.
now I know why everyone's laying here."
I'm literally, I press the play button and I keep running and I listen for the word code. If I hear code,
Yeah.
I stop.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't give a shit and I just am like, bye, I don't care.
There are some that actually tell you what to do, right? Or
Yeah, there's
where to
one
go.
that's coming up in the next area that I thought was good.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll see which one it is. But
It's the one at the end with the boss, but I like
Okay.
that one I thought was good. Otherwise, I'm just like, I don't care.
I mean, there are a lot of them do give you hints on what to do and where to go. There's one other thing I wanted to ask here, because this is also true to one of these audio logs. Did you guys find, I assume you did, found the room with the X44 plastiques?
Yes.
Yep.
Do you have those? You throw them? What'd you do with them?
I just have them right now.
I put 2 in my inventory, and then all the other ones are in my
Storage.
cargo holder.
You need a minimum 4. There will get to a point where environment changes and may prevent you from coming back to certain areas. If you get to that point and do not have these available to you, your game is broken. Like,
Soft locked, nice.
You're soft locked.
Cool.
Period. It's hard to do because you have to actively get rid of them. And there is an audio log that in that room that says, "Hey, I grabbed these and stored them in XYZ location, and I need you to do something with them." Or like, I plan on doing something with them, is what he says, but clearly the guy's dead. So the audio logs do give you, like, hints on what to do, but, yeah, if you throw those away, you'll soft lock yourself out of the game. So make sure you keep at least 4 of them.
I kept them all because I assumed they would be very good for the CPU sections.
I got into an inventory part where I was like, I don't know what to do, and I was like, I'm going to keep 2 of them. And I ran on, and as I was watching, like, to make sure I did 100% at level, I went back and watched the video, and the person called it out. So I had to run back down a floor and find. Luckily,
Yeah.
dude, I'm sure there's more. Luckily, I made a left down a hallway off the elevator and found them instantly. It was like, thank God, because otherwise I was gonna like have to map scrape to find these stupid things. But the video told me, I was like, oh well, good thing I kept 4 of them because it doesn't say how many to keep. But there's that. So, 1994 design, man. Get 12 hours into this game and lock yourself out of it.
Get past the first few levels without respawn point.
Insane. Insane. I actually haven't used a respawn point. I keep reloading my saves just because, again, I'm a crazy hoarder and I'm worried I might need those respawn points for something. I don't know why.
But they don't go away.
Yeah, it's not one use. It's, you can use my.
I didn't know if it was one use or not, so I didn't want it. I didn't want
But
to change it.
I use my quick load because I want to be able to do the exact same thing I was just trying to do earlier. I don't want to have to go back and run all the way through.
Right. So anyway, so the next floor we got to is the flight deck, and I'll be honest, out of all the floors we've done so far, I
This was
kind
so
of
far
like.
my favorite.
Yeah, I like the flight deck best so far. I like the design of it. I like some of the enemies. I like the new damage types. But I also like this weird dichotomy of, like, there was this nice little executive wing on the flight deck, right? Because, like, it would make sense where people are coming in, where people are leaving.
I feel like you'll get a lot
Yeah.
more story out of that section than you have in most places in this game so far.
Yeah, it was really good. So, as we're going through the flight deck, it's mostly business as usual, with a couple of differences. So we meet a couple new baddies, like assassin cyborgs, which are literally just cyborgs that you fought, except this time they throw mines at you that are insta-kills. for the most part. If your health is not 100%, it's insta-kill. But they're also easier to kill than everybody else because they just do a simple patrol back and forth. So you just wait till they turn their back and you run up and you sword them.
There's also the death Roombas.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did the first one kill you? In that?
Yeah.
No, so the first
Yeah.
one I saw, I was up high, and it saw me, so it like went underneath me and blew up, but I was nowhere near it, and I didn't
So
see
the
outside
fir-
of that one.
The first one I saw is you open the big yellow door right in front of you to progress the level, and you take one step in, and it activates that, and it goes zzz, right at you, and I was like, it took a line to where I looked at it and go, oh, I think this is going to go right past me, so I was going to do one of these numbers, just like look at the ground and follow it.
Same.
And it just exploded instead. I go,
I was like, I wonder
okay.
if this thing's hostile because there's the other like little vacuum cleaner, like the blue robots that don't do anything. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I wonder if this is just like another one of boom, and I was like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah. So from then on, just shoot it instantly and blow it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have these two enemies. But again, this level is mostly business as usual. You will come to a part in the I think it's the north or east quadrant, but essentially it's an entirely radiated section. There are waste
I think it's
barrels
east. I think it's east.
everywhere, and like I would love to know, how did you guys handle this section? Because there's a couple different ways you can go. You can go upstairs, you can go, a different way, or there's something to the left as a dead end. But like, how much time did you spend in this area? How did you get through it? Did you just run through it? What did you do?
Much.
I took my sweet time. I popped a rat away, a health pack, turned on the radiation suit, and then I was like, do. Like I took my time, mapped it out, found the little CPU that's hanging out in that area, blew that thing up, looked for cameras, and I was like, all right, I think I've seen everything I need to see here, and then I walked out.
Did you realize that CPU instantly, or did you miss it and come back?
I saw it. I just happened to look at it, and I was like,
Okay.
oh, all right, that's one of those, and then I blew it up.
That was the
and
path I chose. I found it. Like, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't because it's a different color and in the area and only by itself. It took me a while to realize. So I
Just
left that
on-
area.
on like a ledge kind of thing.
I had left that area and was running my way back, and I realized when I aimed at it, I got a target, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
weird." So I shot it, and it blew up. I handled that area differently as well. I took my sweet time, but I took my sweet time shooting every barrel.
Oh, actually,
Because-
hit
Oh,
them
that's
and
an
go
option.
away. Yeah.
If you shoot every barrel, they all just go away, and the radiation goes away. Because I'm a psychopath. I don't know
I did
why
not
chose
clean
that
up
option.
the hallway. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I cleaned up the hallway. I learned it on the, I think the previous level on maintenance where you start over on the bridge and you can jump down. I shot them all below and realized there was no radiation. Because I guess that's, so people know, that's how radiation works. If
Which
you-
is not, just so we're clear.
Just
in
blow
the
it
If
up.
there's
that's
ever,
not how it works,
yeah,
but-
just blow it up, right? And you don't have a problem.
This is an
right?
immersive
So-
sim, okay, Christian?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, I didn't know that. I just assumed that the radiation would stay. So
Yeah. There were a couple of good areas in this one. Preston, was this the one you said you had 2% left on the security? Or was that the floor
yes,
below
yes.
it?
No, I
Yeah.
only have single digits, like 2. It's like 4 or 2, and I have like, apparently there's something hidden I don't know about. So
So I love this section because
hidden
there's
rooms are real cool.
there's like 2 or 3 hidden. There's 3 hidden areas that I found, and
I didn't find any this playthrough.
Okay, so there's 3 hidden rooms that I found, and then they do this cool thing with a couple of elevator rooms where the floor is either up down elevator, and there's also rooms off of that. They're not hidden, but I guess you could easily just not go into them if you didn't want to. But yes, the three hidden rooms. So one of them is the one Preston did not find, which in the main corridor, as we talked about, everybody has a center circle, right? A square that goes all the way around. Preston, when you go in that main corridor, along one of the walls, there's a ramp to go to the next quadrant, and to the left of that ramp, there are 2 cargo boxes. They're not touching, they're a little bit spread apart. If you walk between those 2 cargo boxes, it'll actually say door. Like, it'll highlight, like you can interact with it, and when you click it, the wall just moves and scoots back, and when you go there, there's a camera back there, one of those cleaning bots that will attack you, and a sentinel. Like, as soon as you destroy the camera, a sentinel will come out of the side room. There's an audio log back there, nothing crazy, it's just an extra little bit, and that's where that last camera is, so I can't find it. In order to get to all of that, too, you have to have the second mod and the second hidden room to get the motion boots version 2. So, Christian, if you got those, you clearly found the second room.
Is that a hidden room? I didn't know that it was a hidden room.
I mean, it's a hidden room because if you don't do the puzzle right, you don't get to it, or you can't just jump over there.
Sure, yeah.
So
yeah.
it requires a puzzle to get to. The motion boots version 2 are incredible. Like, I almost feel like it's game breaking now because you're even faster than version 1, and you can jump for 10 miles, and you can float. Like, did you guys jump all the way across?
Yeah, it was like, now you can do this. And I was like, all right. And so then I tried it, and it was like, oh, damn, all right, I really can go pretty far.
I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
That little weird bridge section where you have to hit the levers to make it just right. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
that'd been real fucking nice to have when I went to that point. But no, I had to do the platforming right there, which was super not fun.
Yeah. So those motion boots are great, but those motion boots are required for the secret room. So what you have to do is you have to pop the switch and then speed run through the door before it shuts on you. And that's where that camera is. So that's that 1994 design. It was a cool little thing. The last hidden room
I'm
was in.
I'm just gonna leave my security at 2%. I don't give a shit.
I mean, it's super easy to do, but yes, you don't have to. It's like it's 30 seconds, but
It's the principle of the thing.
I understand. But the third hidden room you could get to was in the flight deck that actually has a ship in it. So you go to the executive room, and right outside the executive room is a flight deck with a ship. If you just jump on top of that ship, you'll notice along the top there's a hole in the railing, like just a rail that's not there. So it's not like blown out, it's just not there. And there's enemies up there, so it's kind of telling you like, hey, if you want, you can get up there, but you have to have the boots to do it. So you jump on the ship, and then you use your boots to jump over there. And up at the top of that, there's a hidden room, and that is where they hid what they call Scully, which is their... What's the company that did this game?
Deep Dive.
Deep Dive. Deep Dive has a mascot that is a
you've seen the
skull
intro.
inside of the helmet, right? With like a tentacle wrapped around it. There's, I think, 10 of these hidden in the game. That's one of them up on the room, so you can easily just jump up there and get it. I don't know what happens if you get all of them. That's the first one. That's the first one I found. I will try and find them all before the end of the game and just see if, like, does it give you anything
Change
special?
something.
Probably not. But that's the only one I found so far. They're very well
I'm
done.
not doing that.
Very well done. Nobody's asking you to. So the other thing that you find before we make our way to the end, as you're going through all of the flight deck, is one corridor in the two big rooms where you just do nothing but fight enemies. There's dead people everywhere. There's a corridor that goes down by itself, and it breaks off into two sections. And there's what look like to be two elevators on either side. They're escape pods. I assume you guys found that.
Not that I'm aware. I probably didn't know they were escape.
I mean, I know there's no part of the map that's left uncovered
Yeah,
for me.
I scraped
that
that.
being
Okay.
said, did I notice if there was escape? I probably just walked right by them.
Yeah.
So what you probably thought they were, because they look very similar to bathrooms on either end of this hallway, and it's
Oh,
nothing but
yeah.
it's nothing but a ramp down and a hallway that goes left and
I just know
right.
there were bathrooms. Yeah.
At the end of each one is a bathroom. However, there's a key code beside them. Just so you know, those are escape pods. You'll probably want to keep in mind where those are.
Yeah, I won't. So.
I mean, you'll want to, because like I assume
Oh, I mean,
we're
like,
gonna
I'm
escape
not
from
going
the
to
game.
remember it, but
Right.
at the moment when it happens,
Yeah.
I will pause the game. Like, when it says, like, make it to the escape pods, or
Yeah.
whatever, I'm going to hit pause. I will pull my phone out and go, where are the escape pods in System Shock 2 Remake, or System Shock Remake? It will point it out on the map for me, and I'll go, cool, I'll head there. I'm going to go do it. I'm not playing games with these people. I'm not doing this.
No, those are the sort of things too. Like, that's again, not every audio log is good. 99% of them are not, but there are a few that like say, "Hey, the escape pods are located here," but they require a passcode to get to it, right? And like, that's the way this game delivers its mission objective, for better or for worse. Mostly for worse. Right? But if you're going the immersive sim and you want to like write shit down and take notes and have
Sure.
notes of codes
Yeah.
like I do, I bet you really enjoyed that part, right? Like, oh, I need to remember escape pods are here. There's a keypad on both of them. I should probably make note of that, right? If you're into it, I get it. The last major part of this level is a boss fight. And It's the first true boss. In the first level, you had a little boss, which was like a sentry bot that's now just a common enemy. It wasn't much of a boss fight. This is the first true boss. And you walk in a room, which is heading to the bridge to find the remaining survivors. And you peek your head in a room and you realize, with all the spray paint and everything everywhere, like guiding
Really
you away-
quick, right before that, there's a moment where you head down the ramp with the boots, and Shodan has like a nice little one line for you as on your way to this point that I thought was really nice.
Yeah.
Where you shoot yourself off the ramp using the sprint boots, and Shodan says, "Nice jump, insect."
Yeah.
And I was like, when that happened, I was like, rude. Okay.
But I like
There's
it.
no reason to be like that.
I didn't even pay attention to that. Like, I didn't even realize she gave a one-liner. That's when you have two ways you go. You can either walk across or jump across.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? I didn't even pay attention to that. It's hilarious.
But anyway, yes, you go in the.
It is nice little touches like that. I appreciate. Like
Yeah.
the idea that Shodan is watching you. I think they do a really good job.
Yeah.
So what we come into is right as soon as we walk in the room, the Cortex Reaver just drops from the ceiling, and this thing is like a 4-leg mech, almost like a spider with 4 legs coming off of it, and then dangling from the center is just a corpse. So like it's clearly running off of the corpse's brain. It just has the body dangling from the middle of it, which adds to the creepiness. And I don't know about you guys, the first time I fought this thing, it killed me. Like I went in there, if you fight it unknowingly or like if you're not prepared, so if you're like me, you walk into the room, you weren't expecting this thing to drop from the ceiling. As soon as it dropped, I ran to the right pillar, and I was like, "All right, let's take some pot shots. No big deal." Threw an EMP, took a couple of shots. Threw another EMP, took a couple of shots, but then I ran out of my 2 EMP grenades. Then you realize its attacks, and all it does is shoot 5 proximity grenades, like 5 frag grenades out of it, which, like, good luck. It's near instant death. The second time, I did what Christian did, which was I said, "What do I have on me?" I walked in the room, I popped a berserk thing, and I ran straight at it and took my sword, and because your boots are so fast, I got behind it and went swipe, swipe, and it was dead.
Yep.
That was it. Now, I assume, Christian, this is the audio log you wanted to talk about in this area?
Yeah, so this is where you find out that the corpse dangling from this is Anna, the person who's been talking to you.
Yeah.
And her audio log is brutal to listen to. Like, she's coughing and she's like, she got us and everybody is dead. Oh, God! And it's like, and like you can hear her, like, fucking getting her brain scrambled. And I was like, ew, that's not a fun sound to listen to.
If you saw
And then,
that death animation, you know exactly what was happening.
yeah, and then in that moment, or when you walk in that room, Shodan like laughs at you and is like, you're like, haha, you're not gonna be able to meet your friends. Looks like they're indisposed right now, or something along those lines. And I just thought that the sequence was really well done, like between all of that, where I was like, okay, Shodan means business.
It was well done. I love the boss design. I thought it was very cool. It was different. Like I liked everything about it. There was one thing that kept bugging me about it, and it doesn't have to do with this, but just add it to the list.
Yeah.
It's just so reminiscent of, I don't know, BioShock, where you're following Fontaine, who is your buddy in the audio log, guiding you around the map, only for him to guide you to a room where you get to Andrew Ryan, who you think you're going to kill, and realize Andrew Ryan's the good guy, Fontaine's the bad guy, and they kill Andrew Ryan in front of you. It was just... To say similar is almost being too nice, is all I'm saying. So just, let's add it to the list. We'll talk about it when we're done. But Ken, I'm looking at you, man. I'm looking at you. For these.
Man knows how to write one game.
And it
He didn't
wasn't
write
his.
this game.
It's
But
not
I'm
his.
saying,
Write this game.
I know. But yeah, but he knows how to do one thing, and it's take from this game and then never look back.
I'm almost wondering if instead of like take from this game, he just reskinned it. I'm not really sure.
And his next game is going to be all cyberpunk, so let's see
far-
how that looks.
So far, Shodan hasn't said anything about, racism being a both sides problem, so Until that happens,
That's-
I don't know.
That's because they never got to the third video game. I'm sure it would come. It was just...
You know what? Yeah, in System Shock Infinite, maybe that's where Shodan was going.
If there is a rogue AI on, what is it, Judas or the Judas
Judas.
Principle, whatever they're called,
Yeah.
Judas, if there's a rogue AI on that Cyberpunk game and that is a spiritual successor to this game, 100% it will be the both sides racism
Oh, yeah.
argument. I'll call it now.
They didn't
That's
get their
what it's
chance, so
gonna
I'm going
be.
to take it.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be. So that kind of brings us to the end. I mean, we realized, like, Shodan is running this. The people that we thought were helping us, the survivors on the flight deck, are actually all dead. To this point, I think the only person we've met that we don't have a confirmed death on is, what was his name? Rodrigo or whatever, the executive
I
we
think
met
it's
at the beginning.
Diego, and I think
Diego.
Didn't we get a confirmation of that from either from her or from the one of the logs? Because I know you find his office. You find his office with that audio.
Yeah, you're in his
We
office.
find his office, and she talks about, like,
A virus that he created that she's repurposing, but no one has said whether or not he's dead yet.
Yeah, they said we both had the same goal. We wanted to go about it a different way, where he wanted to turn the virus that he's stealing into profit. I wanted to use it to cleanse humanity. Right?
I thought I
like,
remember
that's
something about he's been dispensed with or he's been taken care of. I thought I heard that.
I don't
Maybe I could be
recall
wrong.
that. You may not be wrong, but I don't recall that. But I think we're starting to learn we're pretty much on by ourselves here.
Yeah.
Right?
The
We're by
fact that
ourselves.
we were in
and-
that coma was doing us good until we weren't in a coma.
Yep. So we kind of know our goal right now, which is we have to stop the laser from being shot. According to one of the audio logs, we need to turn the laser against the space station itself, which is something we're going to be on our way to do, which might help Preston from being stuck.
Yeah.
So where we're headed is when you get in the elevator, it says all power directed towards R. R is going to be reactor. So we need to head all the way down to the reactor. One would think I'm going to hop in the elevator here in the executive suite and go down to the reactor. Nope, that goes to maintenance. So you're going to need to go to maintenance, and then you're going to need to get in the other elevator in maintenance because there's two of them. Get in one of them that will take you to the reactor because the other one will not. So there's going to be a bit of backtracking. There's probably going to be a bit of backtracking within this. The other thing I'm going to say, too, and I think maybe this will help you out, there's something you can do with the isotope now that might help you from having to backtrack later if you can figure out what to do with it now. So
Something tells me I'm not going to figure that out.
maybe you could just do it on your way to the reactor and it might just help you out from
Yeah,
having
and
to do it
honestly,
later.
I don't think it's going to be a big deal if you type in System Shock died, hit enter. And
To be fair, I was looking at that towards the end when I was on the flight deck. I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do now? And then it's like, okay, now
Yeah.
you're going to backtrack. I'm like, okay, well, I guess this is me finishing flight deck then. And I'll just leave it at here to see if these guys did anything else after scraping. Because I feel, you talk about like, well, I decided to scrape. You need to scrape in this game. Like, you have to scrape because you will miss something because it doesn't highlight what you need to do, what you need to get. So you need to scrape. The fact that I didn't find a respawn for the first 2 levels is because I wasn't scraping. And then now I'm like, okay, well, I just want to make sure I'm getting what I need so I don't fuck up in the end. I'm like, okay, well, now I'm scraping. Now I'm going to fit. When we get to those levels, I'm going to get as much out of those levels as I can because I don't want to miss something like was it alternate dimension or the pocket dimension upgrade that we got?
Yeah.
Like, you could probably miss that. Like, and then you don't have extra inventory. I'm like, fuck that. So no, I'm looking at guides at this point.
The plus side of this game, as far as I know, if security is at 0, you're not going to have enemies on those floors. So backtracking for the most part.
To be
should
fair, I'm not at
pretty
0 on
easy.
flight deck, but I don't see any more bad guys.
Well,
like, I'm running around
you-
there, I'm not seeing shit.
Yeah, because the camera doesn't see you because the camera's in a hidden room. So I actually think you're going to be okay because the camera isn't there to say, like,
There's
what.
someone in
And
the floor.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to hold this to be true, but what I've gathered from my experience is that if the camera can see you, it can pop enemies up in that area. But if you're to a place where you can't see a camera can't see you, it's not going to.
I don't think that's
way.
true,
Yeah,
but I
'cause there's
think
some cameras
the
I've seen
security.
enemies
I
on
think
pop
it's just a percentage. So like,
Okay.
if you're at a 3%, you're very rarely going to see a spawn. Like that spawn timer in the game counts very slowly, as opposed to like a 10%, a 20, a 30, things like that. Either way, I think that on those lower security floors, I think you'll be fine.
Yes. I need to look. So I know we're going to do reactor next because we need to divert the power. That I think will then allow us to get to executive.
Yeah, because if we divert the power from the reactor, then we'll get the access to executive from the flight deck.
So I think what we're going to... I don't want to make
reactor
promises.
and then...
I want to do reactor. I want to do 3. So here's what I'm going to say. Because if we do 3, then we can finish the game up on the 4th playthrough. It's a 4-parter and we're done. It'll get quicker for us talking about it because the loop so far is very similar, right?
You
it's
do the
pretty
same
simple
thing
loop.
in most areas.
Yeah. Which I have to say, I think it's the maniacal bit in me that map scrapes anyway, even on like big maps. I'm actually enjoying my time with the game, and I'm enjoying map scraping. There are many things I don't like. There are many things I think that are dated. We'll talk about. There are many problems I have only knowing BioShock.
To be fair, it's a 30-year-old game, so yeah.
But I actually am enjoying playing this game, so I don't mind putting in a little bit of a longer play session. That's for me. But we're going to do reactor and executive. If we have enough to go back and do maintenance, we'll include maintenance in that, right, and finish it off. Because we kind
I
of
say let's just go for it.
Yeah, let's just go for it, yeah.
No, I'm saying I don't know if doing those 2 levels, if we'll get the required bit. I don't know where that comes. But I was going to say, if not, let's plan on doing 3 levels, and we can talk about it off. So it should be reactor, executive, and it's either going to be reactor, executive, maintenance, or it's going to be reactor, executive, and then I think research. No, we did that. Oh, what's the name of it? I'll have to look.
I got it. 1 second.
There's like the gardens and the pods that are out.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Give me 1 second.
It's like eco something, or...
Yeah.
Eco... It's a grove. Something grove.
I got you. Engineering.
Engineering.
Okay. So we'll plan on doing 3. It's either going to be those in medical, or I'm sorry, those
Reactor,
in
executive,
maintenance,
and
or
whatever's after executive.
whatever's
finish that
after
too.
it. So plan on doing that 3. We'll try our best to turn this into 4 parts, which I think should be fine. Worst comes to worst, we might just have one of these might be a little longer, and we'll gauge it that way. But yeah, we're going on. Right now, the loop seems pretty similar. I think we've gotten a lot of our upgrades for the suit, so I don't know how many more upgrades we're going to be picking up beyond weapons. So it should just kind of start being a sprint in... I think what's going to happen is we'll start to get a little bit less personal upgrades and stuff, and more story. So we should start to ramp up the actual objectives and affecting the station and seeing what's going on there.
Okay.
But, yeah, that is where we're at. Just a check-in, because it is an old game. How are you guys feeling about it?
It's fine.
It's more like an indifference. It's like, okay, it's an older game. I'm not a big survival horror fan, or maybe immersive sim fan either as well. Maybe I'm not a big fan of that either.
I think that definitely is the case for sure.
Yeah, this is not my cup of tea. And when I think about my score at the end of it, I'm going to give it a little bit of leeway because it's just not my type of genre. But
Sure.
it also being a 30-year-old game, and there's going to be these things I don't like about it. So it's just...
Preston's gearing you up to give this game a 1 out of 5.
Yeah, that's fine.
This is better than Beyond Good and Evil, I'll tell you that right now.
I think there's gonna be a gamut of scores on this one. We've actually been pretty close recently. I think it's gonna be a gamut. I'll tell you why. Because going into it, as soon as I started playing, Preston, I know it's not really your type of game for the reason you said. I know Christian, whether it's his type of gamer or not, grew up on a lot of these games, so I figured you were progressing through this faster and easier than either one of us. So regardless of like what your overall thoughts of the story are, your time spent in it is probably fairly minimal, right? Like you're probably in and out pretty quickly is kind of what I gathered just from your experience in this stuff.
Yeah, my play sessions are usually pretty... I never split it up. It's usually I'm done in whatever time I sit down to play it.
Yeah, and I just know you have experience, so I thought like that would be a little bit different. And then me, I don't have any experience with these other than like old school Doom, which I really didn't play that much. So, I'm looking at it through a different lens than you two. So I'm interested to see what it comes down to at the end. But I will give the studio credit. Like they did a great job on
They do
remake
a great
and stuff.
job with older games, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So cool. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for hanging out with us with part 2. We'll be back with part 3 next time. And catch up with our weeks. Preston and I will have some updates from C2E2.
Yeah. We're going to get some stuff signed.
I need a review on those Girl Scout Thin Mint pretzels.
All right, I'll give you a review on the cookies. We're not going to talk about them too much out loud because I don't want Allie to know that I have them. Like, if they're okay, I'll bring some home for her to have. But if they're good, they're not making it. Like, I'm
I'm tell you right now.
Dude,
Sorry.
Okay, I'll just tell you, the bag is huge. You will make yourself sick. That being said, I do not fault you for going on that quest because I also would do the same. They are. I don't want to put thoughts in your head. I love them.
Okay. That's great. So I'm planning on being sick the entire weekend. So Friday before Preston gets there, I'm there by myself. I will 100% be ordering Lou Malnati's newest pizza, which is cheese and hot honey. They did a deep dish hot honey.
Oh,
pizza.
well, a lot of places do it. That's fine.
I mean, it's just a cheese pizza. They put hot
Lou
honey on top
Malnati's
of it.
is the worst deep dish in Chicago. You heard it from me first, but that's...
It's fine. Lou Malnati's or Gino's, whatever. Like they're all just
good.
Gino's is good. The only problem with Gino's is I don't think they have a hot honey pizza, and I really want to try this hot honey pizza.
Sure.
I typically do Gino's. Either way, you will be catching me the next day after I have downed an entire, probably medium pizza, which is most people's large pizza, with an 1.5 inch thick of cheese. Mm-hmm. So, Saturday...
Godspeed, soldier.
Yep. Saturday will be a rough day, and it'll be totally worth it.
It would be.
Yeah.
Have the cheese sweats talking to, like...
You definitely
Christina
are.
Ricci. We'll tell her you said hi, Christian.
Huh?
We'll tell her you said hi.
You should, yeah.
Is she going to be at C2E2?
Yeah, her and Mads Mikkelsen, people I mentioned last time, are going to be there, yeah.
I don't feel like paying to get a picture with Christina Ricci, but if
but
I had
the price
extra
is
money,
not
I
going
would
to be
do
there
it
for me. Because I would love to see, I would love to meet Mads. Like, I would love to have him sign my copy of Rogue One, but I mean, it's going to be too expensive. It's going to be $150 to see them.
Well, I mean, according to you, no, I think, honestly, Mads Mikkelsen will probably be off in a corner somewhere. No one will even know who he is, but Christina Ricci's line will be out the door. You guys could probably walk right past them, get over to Mads. Mads will probably be at the smoothie bar hanging out with nobody. And you just be like, what's up, bro? And walk in and sit down.
No one said that.
That's what you guys said.
No one said that.
I wonder, who do you think will have the longer line, Mads or his brother, who's now Thrawn in Star Wars?
Ooh.
Because he's going to be there
Matt.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
Thrawn is the new hotness.
He is the new hotness.
He's the hottest.
And he's blue. People like blue people.
People do oddly like blue people. But I'm not one to talk.
That's why Liara is the best Mass Effect person.
Is this a side quest next time? Like one time in the future? Why do
blue
gamers
people?
why blue people?
That's a great question. I think blue is a calming color, so people are just predisposed to liking blue in general, and then you turn them into you put it on a person, they're like, hey, that's a calming
Star Trek,
person.
they
top
tried to
to
do it with
bottom.
green people, and it kind of was kind of all right, but then they saw Avatar, and they're like, okay, people want to fuck these people. Let's keep making blue people.
And with that, everybody, we will catch you next time. Preston, you know what to do.
Hit it!
Avatar sucks.
Interfacing with computers.
For their own entertainment. The very notion disgusts me.
Look upon my works, foul creatures.
And weep at its
Thank you for listening to
magnificence.
another episode of The Testing Room. To catch up on past episodes or check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If watching is more your thing, check out youtube.com/thetestingroom or Twitch TV/testingroompod. To leave comments and ask questions, follow us on Instagram @testingroompod and email us at testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.